uh, goes by parashiyot. They're not exactly paragraphs. They're sort of like major components, major blocks of text, if you will. So it doesn't correspond to Perek Mem Gimal, but that is nonetheless how the Midrash calls by parashiyot. Anyhow, there's a long discussion. The Midrashim this week's parasha are very long. I've said before, and it's worth mentioning, that just about every parasha that's really long in the Midrash is really long in the Zohar, and the ones that tend to be short, even if they're long, they have long lists of names and things, they tend to be short in the Zohar too. This is a massive parasha in both, and the Midrashim themselves aren't short. They're really long and they're kind of existential. Mitzvot, averot, advocating versus prosecuting, in general, how these things work. So one really fascinating tidbit that happens to come out of this otherwise very large midrash is that there's a comparison in the midrash. It says, how do you compare chet ha'egel? How could we appreciate this in more maybe anthropomorphic terms? What does it mean in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that Am Yisrael worshipped Avodah Zarah so quickly after leaving Egypt? So midrash says, fine. We deserve punishment. We knew we had it coming to us. And so if you want a parable, in order to make this easier to understand, imagine a king who had, his attorney general, the one who helps him write and enforce the laws, such they should be just, they should make sense, they should be manageable. And in the end, he writes a law that his own son transgresses. So here the king is trying to give everyone the impression that he's even-handed, that he's blind in terms of justice. The laws apply to everyone. This isn't a modern social democracy where the politicians are exempt from the laws and everybody else has to subscribe to them. They get better health care because they're exempt from the national plan. We're familiar with this. So when the king sits down in order to write his son's verdict, the attorney general, the advocating, let's say, attorney general, comes and pulls the quill. He pulls the pen out of his hand, and he gives it some time, and then he puts it back in. He says, "Okay, now you can write the verdict." Meaning, as if, kiviyachol, there's a difference between a human king writing a verdict while he's angry, and the advocate not changing the judgment, not changing the reality, just withholding the ability to write a verdict until things calm down. Okay? Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can't be accused of being angry. He can't be accused of being disappointed. In other words, these are emotions that we associate with people. You can't say HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry and he got some counseling and after some therapy, he cooled off and then he was able to write, the verdict that he deserved. But rather that a punishment could have come out immediately, and the punishment that would have come out would have been exactly what we deserve. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, just that's what you deserve, that's what's going to happen. So how does the Midrash learn all of this? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe, Herash mimeni v'ashmidem. Let me go, leave me alone, and I'll destroy them. From here the Midrash says, Mikan shena davar talui ela bo. And from here, you learn that this depended upon no one but Moshe. Not even Hashem. What does that mean, this depended on no one but Moshe? Meaning Hashem tells him, let me go and I'll kill them. And from here you understand, so if I don't let you go, you can't kill them. Of course, that's your job, and you step in, you get involved. There's a back and forth. He negotiates a punishment that's more like a payment over time. So what's Moshe's role in all of this? How does this fit in? So the way this works, and this is something very unique to the Jewish religion, in the sense that not only have we produced quite a number of prophets, but our Nevi'im aren't just shamans. They're not just there to predict the future. We actually, the higher level of Nevuah that you're on, the more discretion you have in the interactions, let's say, between the non-physical world and the physical world. And there are certain things you can change. What does it mean, for example, and this is fresh off the press, Elisha resurrected a child. Okay, so if I were a Christian Scientologist, I would say medicine is avodah zarah. You can't inoculate your kids, don't immunize them. Why? Because if the kid gets sick, it's because God wants it to be this way. The Calvinists, if you want the European equivalent, same thing. So where is it that we get involved? Where is it that we intervene? Even as non-prophets, what does it mean that something happened, a decree was made, and then we make efforts against it? So the world left to its natural devices would behave a certain way. And the purpose of a Navi is to help the world reach a higher level, and at the same time to advocate for it while it's in the process of hopefully reaching this level. Look back, if you want, as far as Abraham. We mentioned before Sodom and Amorah. What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu say before the entire negotiation process with Abraham by Sodom and Amorah? "Hamachaseh ani me'Abraham et asher ani oseh." Is it possible is it conceivable that I should be concealing from Abraham that which I'm about to do? Which means what? Of course, you could do whatever you want. Well, every Navi knows everything. We just went through this. Elisha, he knew he didn't know about Gehazi. It's unclear. We had a few other examples where Elisha himself says he didn't know. The child died. When the Shulamite comes to see him, he says, I didn't know. Hashem hid this for me. So the reality, the truth exists, and it's broadcast. And a Navi on a high enough level can hear it. You can pick up the frequency, and you know what's going on in the world. And whenever you hear this Gzirah, you have a mitzvah to advocate, to do your best to make it better. Right? Is this not the purpose of tzedakah? Think about it. How can you say on the one hand, I'm not going to intervene, and if my child gets mumps, measles, rubella, rubeola, typhus, dysentery, you name it, why would you not intervene there if you believe in the concept of charity? What's charity if not this? Here's someone who's poor. Whether he's poor because God made him this way or because he made bad choices isn't necessarily, sometimes it's relevant and sometimes it's not, but assuming this is someone who had a stroke of what we would call bad luck or lost his job or whatever, I have a mitzvah to help him. What do you mean a mitzvah to help him? You have a mitzvah yourself to get involved, to take some of your, let's say, material merits and to help this person out of a bad situation. So this is intervention. You can call it low-level advocacy. If this person is being punished financially for whatever reason, my intervention is made to help soften the punishment. So is that not audacity in the face of Hashem? Is it not audacious of me to say, you know what? I know that Hashem doesn't want this guy to receive a lot of money the conventional way, so I'm going to give it to him artificially and make sure that he survives this rough period. Well, if you give someone tzedakah in such a way that they, manage to reconsider some of their lifestyle choices and hopefully start to make better ones, then you've made an investment that now pays dividends. And the punishment this person deserved maybe served a purpose. In fact, it could be thanks to you that there's more spiritual productivity coming from this individual. I don't necessarily mean the guy subscribes to a kollel and goes and learns Torah all day. I'm saying basic things like making a living, paying your bills, paying back your creditors, not evil concepts. So you've advocated on someone's behalf, and hopefully you've done it in order that they can reach a higher level. Maybe make a few important changes. Left to its natural devices, the world doesn't give everyone prophecy, right? Life isn't fair that way. We're not on the level. It has to be something that you merit. Even if you try your hardest, the nation's not on the right level, you may not get prophecy. It may never happen. So what is it that we're expected to do as Torah-observant Jews is to help people who need help, regardless of why they're in the position they're in, unless it's a criminal, a drug addict, etc., in which case, of course, you can try to help them, but in different ways. A criminal needs to reform his lifestyle. A drug addict, needs to hopefully get off the dependency, and then you move on. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals these things to Nevi'im on a national level, not to say I'm going to punish them, but it's because I have a very big anger management problem. And when I'm angry, things blow up. That's a very Catholic reading of the Tanakh. An angry, spiteful, vengeful God who enjoys seeing people die, who enjoys warfare, who enjoys the punishments prescribed in Bechukotai and Kitavon. It's a very profoundly Christian reading of the Tanakh, and they understand that God changed his mind and no longer punishes anyone anymore. These things just don't happen. That's it. We deleted the parts we didn't like. This is the Disney version of the Tanakh. In the Disney version, everyone lives happily ever after. because the princess is blonde. So life doesn't necessarily work this way, and it's not to say that punishments aren't deserved. They are. Your job is to help mitigate them wherever you can. And so what Moshe is doing on a higher level is basically what HaKadosh Baruch Hu really wants him to do. Because it seems in contrast to this. If Hashem wants to punish them, who's he to get involved? And if Hashem doesn't want them punished, then why does he say so? And the answer is no, he wants both. This is what we deserve on a very natural, simple justice level. And someone with tremendous merits can help to fix this. It has to be Moshe Rabbeinu, who has the ability to influence the nation for the better. He's the one who can say, listen, I can fix these people. Maybe not all of them, some of them, most of them. If not them, maybe their descendants. We'll see better times. I'll take upon myself this responsibility. I'll help bail them out of jail. I'll pay, what it requires to get them out. And then hopefully better and more prosperous things will come of them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu suggests to Moshe, I can kill them and make a nation out of you, which is an interesting offer. I'm not saying, think about it, sure, a whole nation of Moshes, that would be great. Why would you not do this? So clearly Moshe sees that the nation has potential, more than one individual. You can multiply merits this way. We don't need a whole nation of Moshe Rabbeinus. We need one leader and a lot of people who hopefully do what's expected of them. But when we're told that this entire situation depends upon no one but Moshe, what we're basically saying is, here's the deal, here's the bill. If Moshe is able to get involved and help us refinance what we owe, then he'll have done a mitzvah on both sides. He can keep us alive, he can help us accrue more merits and hopefully make good on these payments, and at the same time, instead of foreclosing and ultimately missing the main goal of taking us out of Egypt, which is to let us do whatever we want, but it's hopefully to create a nation of Torah observers and people with spiritual sensibilities, we can bridge the gap, so to speak. So we've seen a few examples of this in Sefer Malachim. You see it by Abraham and Sodom. You see it by Moshe and Am Yisrael a number of times. This isn't the first, not going to be the last. Where the role played by the Navi is to take what the facts are, at ground level, and help bring us closer to a more spiritual reality by amortizing, so to speak, the shock of the punishments that we deserve. I will add, because we mentioned the Christians a few times tonight, that this is very much a very balanced approach, as opposed to Islam, which sees the world ready for slaughter because of all the things they're doing wrong, like not abducting women and selling them as slaves. We need to do more of this, make the world a more spiritual place. And Christianity, which has this habit of defaulting on debt. The Christian approach to these things is, we got a Torah, we got all the mitzvot, it was too much, too complicated, we got lost. You have to, just lower your expectations of humanity, boil it down to a few basic mitzvot, and make salvation something a lot easier and less technical and less demanding. And what you find by us is, yes, it's true, the punishments are very spelled out and we deserve, every gram of it. At the same time, the expectations are such that we should be able to refinance this, fix it, make good on it, and do teshuvah in a voluntary way, so as not to necessitate cataclysm, in order for us to purge ourselves of these averot. So it's not that we deserve and want these punishments right away. It's not that we never want them, we forget about them. There's no such thing as midat hadin. It's a balanced approach. And the Navi, on a high level, is not, to achieve atonement and forgiveness is a very tremendous thing. But what Moshe is basically saying is, give us time, we'll make good on this. I promise that, I'll invest myself in it. I'll put some of my merits out as collateral, and over time we'll be able to save at least some of them and make them more worthy of rachamim. That's the definition of rachamim, of mercy. It's not ignorance of justice. It's just balancing justice over time. Whatever Hashem, whatever the justice needs, it will get, and we get what we need in order to survive, and hopefully make the payments, and everybody's happy. So I'll let you guys go with this thought, and we'll reconvene that's up next week.
Rabbi, do you know what's in Tzedakah?